Welcome to episode 233 of the Focus TV. Joined as always, we got Octavia Wyatt, Cardell Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr. And again, welcome to the Focus. As always, we got a lot to get through tonight. Octavia, we're going to start with the NFC East. You guys had a busy week.
Man, the NFC East again is ridiculous. Every week, it seems like this is the first week I feel like this season that everybody won. Like, I don't think that ever happened. And I include the Giants, even though they're on a bye. They didn't lose. So that's good for them. And they won their last game. So I can't really talk too much trash about them. But everybody had a really good week. It's kind of weird, to be just how everybody looks at how the NFC East is. It's just a little bit weird. But one thing that's not weird is that the Cowboys won. That's not weird at all. It's weird when they lose at this point. They played against the Falcons this week and demolished the Falcons. Cowboys beat the Falcons 43-3. Dak Prescott was 24 of 31, 296 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 2 carries for 5 yards. Tony Pollard had 11 carries for 42 yards and 6 receptions for 56 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 14 carries for 42 yards. For 41 yards and 2 touchdowns and 3 receptions for 15 yards. And then CeeDee Lamb had 6 receptions for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. It literally just was a bludgeon from start to finish. Like, it was just a massacre. It's so weird. I feel like not just with the Falcons, but a lot of teams this year, it's like you see them get blown out in one game, and then you see them like play really, really well in other games against people. So like the Eagles played against the Falcons first week and blew them out, and then the Falcons came back and was blowing other people out. It was just weird. So, but again, we know about the Cowboys losing to the Broncos last week, so for them this was like their reset game, and they really played no games with the Falcons at all. Like I said, Prescott had 2 touchdown throws. Ezekiel Elliott ran for 2 touchdowns. Now, although he didn't have a great rushing night, he still got key 4th down conversions that they didn't get last week. So that was a big change for them. Their defense was without Randy Gregory this week, but Micah Parsons is the fix-all, be-all up there. He just needs to get as many rushes as possible. Because he is killing it. I know we talked about early on in the season, talking about Trayvon Diggs as a potential defensive player of the year. Michael Parsons, go ahead and pencil him in for rookie defensive player of the year. That's going to happen. I don't even think we need to have the conversation about anybody else anymore. They just look good. CeeDee Lamb finally got open. Dak, I feel like last week he just had a little bit of a rust that he was working off from not playing the previous week and the bye and the calf and everything. But he was right back where he usually was. Now, again, it is the Falcons, like I said, but you can only play who's in front of you. But the Cowboys, this is what they needed to do. Like, the game was over at halftime. Like, I honestly had to go back and forth between watching the Cowboys game and the Washington football team game. And I was like, I'll start with the Cowboys. Let's see how they rebound, because watch the football team, they're playing the Bucks. I'm not really too worried about that. This was over at halftime, and then I switch over to the other game. But the Cowboys will have a big test this coming week. I believe they play Sunday night against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are coming off of a big win themselves against the Raiders, and they are back up top of the AFC West, and just like everybody was going crazy the last couple of weeks, and they're back. But it'll be a good game for them next week. But like I said, switch from their game at halftime to go check out what the Washington football team and the Bucks were doing, and I was completely shocked. The Bucks lost to the Washington football team this week. Washington football team had 29, the Bucks had 19. Taylor Heineke was 26 of 32, 256 yards, 1 touchdown and 3 carries for 15 yards. Antonio Gibson had 24 carries for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for 14 yards. And Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions for 59 yards. And Carter had 3 receptions for 56 yards and 1 touchdown. It's shocking, but it's not shocking just because you saw how well they played against the Bucks last year with Taylor Heineke. But you stop and think, was that a fluke? What's going on? But they played really, really well this week. This was probably the most complete game I've seen them play in a long time. Taylor Heineke didn't make, for lack of a better term, dumb mistakes. He was hitting who needed to be open. And their running game was actually what kept the time moving, kept the possession longer. Now, their rushing yards won't sound really gaudy to you, but they were able to convert on third downs. And being able to convert on those third downs turned into long drives. Not to mention Tom Brady threw 2 interceptions in the first half, which is so uncharacteristic of him. This was probably the Washington football team's best defensive game as well, although it's terrible news that reigning Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Chase Young has been ruled out for the remainder of the season with a torn ACL. But for them to still go out there and perform like that without him after losing him in the first half, he even came back on the sideline. He had crutches. They said he gave a motivational or inspirational speech at halftime, because we've seen this over the last few weeks with the Washington football team, that they play really, really well in the first half, but then they come out of halftime and they just forget everything they did. So it was nice to see them keep their foot on the gas this week against, of course, the reigning Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this was a great pick-me-up win for them. It's probably even better for Taylor Heineke to get something positive going, because it's been reported that Ryan Fitzpatrick will not return this season from that hip injury that he suffered in the first game of the year. So it looks like it's Taylor Heineke or bust if they're not going to be willing to throw in Kyle Allen and see what happens. But this was a very positive game for them. Also missing was Montez Sweat, who has a fractured jaw. So he'll be out for a while. So they have some injuries on the defensive side, but they were able to hold it together against the Bucs, although they did not have, of course, Antonio Brown has been missing for a couple of weeks, as well as Rob Gronkowski. But again, you play who's in front of you, and they played well this week, and they were able to get the W. Next week, they play a very interesting game against the Carolina Panthers. If you haven't heard, Cam Newton's back in Charlotte, and he had a great, if you want to call it a great game, but he had a great homecoming, at least. 2 touchdowns, and he hadn't even been there long enough. So they're prepping him to start this week. So to see him going against his old coach and Ron Rivera should be very interesting. So we'll see. And I know every Panthers fan is glad that Sam Darnold is gone. So wherever he is, I don't think he's coming back no time soon. So we're not even going to worry about him. Last but not least, my Philadelphia Eagles was the last team to win for us in this week. Like I said, the NFC East altogether won. So they defeated the Broncos 30-13. Jalen Hurts was 16-23, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He had 14 carries for 53 yards. Jordan Howard, 12 carries for 83 yards. Boston Scott, 11 carries for 81 yards. And Devonta Smith, 4 receptions for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. This was probably the best complete game I've seen them play all year. Outside of the blowouts against the Lions and the Falcons, this was the first complete game I've seen from all 3 phases of the team. Jalen Hurts probably had his best first half that he's had this year. He was very accurate. He only threw the ball when he needed to. The running game was able to get going even without Miles Sanders, which still blows my mind because he is the lead back, and they have not been playing with him. Jordan Howard has stepped up. Again, thinking that this man was on the practice squad this whole year is crazy. Boston Scott has stepped up. Kenneth Gainwell has kind of dropped off a little bit. They only really use him in red zone possessions. But he's still, there, and he's still working well with the team. Devonta Smith is finally getting the notice that he should get. The incredible pass that he caught on the sideline over his can't even say it, his former teammate, Pastor Tane, was just an amazing catch. On his birthday, nonetheless, he got 2 touchdowns in this game. His first multi-touchdown scoring game for him in his young career. The special teams came up with a key block on a punt or a field goal, which again we haven't really been getting much from special teams. And then the defense although I still feel like there are certain portions of the defense that we need to work on. When it counted, they held the line. You know, they kept them out of the end zone and the red zone. But even though the Broncos were able to kind of move the ball down the field, it's just they couldn't really get into the end zone when they got to the red zone. Incredible play by Darius Slay, you know, picking up that fumble by Melvin Gordon and having the thought to actually run it back. Every time I see it, I just be like, get down, like don't lose the ball anymore. But to see him actually get down, and I'll be honest, with some help from Teddy Bridgewater, we appreciate you, Teddy. You know you don't want to get hurt. Appreciate that. If you haven't seen the clip, you have to see it. He won't say he was making a business decision, but I'm pretty sure he was. If you haven't seen when Baker Mayfield attempted to do the same, he got to separate his shoulders. So, you know, people out here making business decisions, they want to make sure that they don't get hurt on stupid plays. I get it. I appreciate you. Darius Slay appreciates you. He probably really appreciates you because, in my opinion, the last year wasn't as great. He's definitely having a better year this year with 2 interceptions and now the fumble recovery for a touchdown. So great game all in all. What's crazy is that a lot of people in the NFC East, they're out of it, but they're still not mathematically out of it. So it's still so weird. You know, we have a favorable schedule coming up. Hopefully, I say that with a grain of salt just because we know how crazy the NFL has been this year. Anybody can beat anybody at any time, which is ridiculous. So you never know what's going to happen. They play the Saints this week coming up. We know the Saints are without Jameis Winston and now with Trevor Siemian. Alvin Kamara didn't play last week for them as well. So I have to check on the status of that. But have a good chance. And, I mean, they beat the Saints last year with the full squad with Drew Brees. So we'll see how it goes. But, again, NFC East, NFC, everywhere in the NFL is just crazy. I don't know what's going on.
Wilson, real quick.
It's literally go ahead.
Real quick. Terry Bridgewater, his quote on the play, it definitely was a lackluster effort, especially when you slow it down. In real time, it's like everything's happening fast. You got the sideline to your advantage, and then when you slow it down with the clicker in your hand, it's like, man, this is bad. Hopefully, I never have to be put in that situation again. And if I am, make sure that I lay it all on the line. Man, get this in the go ahead, Wilson.
I read that he said that he was trying to push him to the middle of the field, and I was like, I mean,
he wasn't trying to do
blocking his own player.
He wasn't trying to do
And lastly, I would like to say for my NFC East people, you're welcome because we stopped the Broncos from sweeping the entire division because they have beaten everybody else in the division. So you're welcome.
And I won't be surprised if we don't win another game because why would I follow you as the quarterback and you giving that punk effort? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Talking about the sideline and it's bad. Hopefully I never have to be key part of that. Hopefully I never have to be in that position again. That's all I got to say.
All right. We're going to move things along to Keith with the Pac-12 this week. And it'll be followed by our first break. When we return from that, go talk to Ray, get you guys some updates on the Wizards and the Go-Go. You know, spoiler alert, the Wizards haven't dropped off from their recent trajectory. They're still doing pretty good. So we'll see you guys after the Pac-12. Our first break, you're watching the Focus TV.
As I promised you guys last week, I'm back for another week of great Pac-12 football. Let's get right into it. First game we're going to let me say this first. The USC-Cal game got canceled, so this week I will not be talking about that game. Unfortunately, it got canceled, so we just got to skip right over that one, you know. But let's start off with ASU versus Washington. Now, ASU came out with a deficit. They were down 14-0 off early. They came out looking sluggish. Yes, it was a rainy game. Washington was at home. It was rainy, so obviously Washington, I'm going to say, has had the upper hand. Considering ASU is in Arizona, you rarely get rain, so they're not really going to know how to balance that and be prepared for that. Now, you do practice and things, but it's never like the actual game. And it kind of showed. Jaden Daniels only had 90 passing yards. He had a touchdown, but also had a pick. But this crusade that Rachaad White is on is out of this world. When you watch his game, his elusiveness, the cuts he makes, the patience he has behind the offensive line when deciding when to go uphill, when deciding he needs to slow down and then hit a hole. It's amazing. 32 carries, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's not something you see often in Pac-12 football as a running back as good as him. I think he is a third-round pick as of right now. I think that's where he would go, but I wouldn't be surprised if that continues to go up. He averages a hurdle every game. When you're at the home games, all you hear is, oh, ooh. It's always fun to hear. It's always fun to see. He just continues to play really well. Jaden Daniels had 56 rushing yards and a score. So, despite it being a low game passing, he always offers that rushing upside, and that's always been there for him. But it was close coming down to the end. But gratefully, ASU came with a pick six to seal things. Now they did let Washington score and make the game 30-35, and then Washington got the onside kick, so had us on edge. But we did make them get an incomplete pass, and therefore we won the game. So it was nice that ASU pulled the game out 35-30. Good job to them. Now moving on to Utah, they almost fell to Arizona. They were this close. It came down to the wire, and then after a few minutes, the game was it was really close toward the end, and then Utah got the ball back and pulled away. It's Arizona, so I'll give you a round of applause, but nonetheless, come on, it's Arizona. But nonetheless, Devin Lloyd continues to prove why he is a first-round prospect. I'm telling you, this guy's sideline to sideline speed, his sudden burst when he's making a tackle, his acceleration, his patience on when finding what hole is right to hit when a run play is developing. It's amazing to watch. I watched a good amount of film on this guy, and he continues to impress me. And when linebacker scouts for NFL teams watch this guy, they're going to be drooling because guys like him aren't often made, and it's really nice for him to be in this draft for linebacker needy teams. Let's move on to Stanford. They didn't make it close to Oklahoma State. I'll just say it that way. They fell 35-14. It was, I don't want to say it was a good game to watch because, obviously the score is 35-14, but all football is great to watch. Chance Nolan had 257 and 2. B.J. Baylor 80 yards on 23 carries and tacked on the score. And senior wide receiver Trayvon Bradford had 80 yards receiving with a long of 67 yards. So all that means his other two catches, or he had 3 catches, so his other 2 catches equaled up for 13 yards. UCLA beat Boulder 44-20. Now, UCLA, when you watch them, they're almost as ASU. It's you have these expectations, but it's should you? And it's yes, because they prove that they should have those expectations, and then they prove okay, dumb down the expectations. Nonetheless, UCLA did put it on Boulder. Brendan Lewis for Boulder had 50 passing yards, no picks, no interceptions, but Jarek Broussard had another 100-yard game, 108 to be specific. DTR had a pick, no passing touchdowns, 257 passing yards, which is good for him. But also, like Jaden Daniels, ASU and UCLA has a lot in common, but DTR had 99 rushing yards and a score. Kyle Phillips, the wide receiver who's been balling all season, 99 receiving yards on 8 catches. I just know he wanted to get one more to get to 100, but, can't always have it. And then finally, last game of the week, we have Oregon beating Washington State 38-24. And I put this game to talk about last specifically because there's so many things about both of these teams that are really interesting. Washington State has beat teams such as ASU and other good teams, and they continue to put fight. This game was close until the end. Don't let the score deceive you. The score does not tell what happened during the game. Excuse me. But De Laura, when you watch this kid, you see him, and he, as every, you can see him, watch Matthew Stafford's game against San Fran. Quarterbacks have balls that sail. It happens. But when he's in the pocket, he has good pocket presence. He sets his feet on majority of his throws and puts great velocity on all of his passes. That is one of the things I'm highest on is how fast do you get the ball there? And he strikes it in there. He made multiple passes that were in tight windows, and he got them there. And that continued to keep Washington State in the game for majority of it. And unfortunately, they lost, but he still played amazing. Their running back, Borghi, played amazing. He reminds me a lot of Christian McCaffrey. His elusiveness, his quickness, his sudden speed it's amazing to watch. But switching to Oregon, now Travis Dye had 88 yards and a score. He's obviously the bright light that they have on offense. Kayvon Thibodeau had 2 sacks, multiple TFLs, multiple tackles. He's widely known as the first pick, unless a quarterback, unless the quarterback steps up again in the coming weeks. But that doesn't seem to be happening. But Kayvon Thibodeau, everybody knows he's generational talent. Guys like him do not come around. His swing move, his package of pass rush moves, and how he is great in the run game just doesn't come often. The guy I want to talk about, though, Anthony Brown. Oregon is currently ranked 3rd, and that gets you into the college football playoffs. The reason why I said that is so interesting is because Anthony Brown needs to step up as a passer if Oregon wants to make any type of noise in the college football playoffs. And I say this because, yes, he had 135 passing yards and a touchdown. He had 123 rushing yards and a score. So normally that is a good game for the average team. If you want to succeed in the college football playoffs, you're going against the Georgias, the Alabamas, and whoever sneaks in at 4. Well, you'll have to go against most likely Alabama at 2. And that's not going to be an easy game. And for them to win that game, because Oregon's defense can slow Alabama down, no problem. That's not what the game plan would have to be. Anthony Brown will have to step up as a passer. He's going to have to make those throws where it's like, yeah, I can trust you in a late game when we can't run the ball to drive down the field and go get a touchdown. With what I see right now, I can't believe that. Like I wouldn't think that, okay, if Oregon had needed 1 touchdown down 4 with 2 minutes to go, that he'd be able to walk down on Alabama and do that. Now, yes, not many quarterbacks are, but when you're the quarterback of the 3rd best team, you've got to be able to do something. And running isn't always going to be there. You know, when you're in the Pac-12, yeah, I get that. The Pac-12 isn't so fast defensively. But then you go against the Georgia and the Alabama defenses, and you got guys, those are deep NFL guys. Those are guys who are picked in the 1st round, who are running sideline to sideline in seconds. The run game isn't always going to be there. So you're going to have to rely on the pass game. And unfortunately, I do not believe that he was able to get the ball there. And, you know, when like I spoke about DeLora, and I have somewhat of the same problem with DTR. It's when they set their feet and their body motions, a lot of time their footwork just isn't there, and that you can tell that on when they sell balls and balls aren't delivered where they need to be. Their throwing motions do not have enough velocity on it, and they do not get the ball there. Therefore, these guys aren't as good as passers as guys like Bryce Young and other good quarterbacks in college football. I hope you guys like the deeper analysis. I tried to go deeper into, you know, more in the football analytic type of things, not the stats and things like that. I wanted to get into, you know, throwing motions, cuts for running backs and things like that. You know, Devin Lloyd, I spoke about him, and Kayvon Thibodeau's pass rush moves. If you guys want me to continue doing this, let us know. I will continue to try and get better and improve on that. It was a great week to talk about Pac-12 football. Peace.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. Want to thank Keith as always for the Pac-12 segment, knocking it out each and every week. As I mentioned before, I'm going to pass this thing over to Raymond. The Wizards and the Go-Go, what have they been up to, sir?
Yeah, man. The Wizards are currently riding a 5-game winning streak. I can't remember the last time we could say that here, but yeah, man, they're putting together some impressive wins. You know, the last 2 have come without Bradley Beal. You know, he's continuing to deal with the death of his grandmother. So of course we send our well wishes to him. But you know, from the team's perspective, they're kind of rounding into shape, man. You know, they're establishing an identity, and their identity is literally like next man up. You know, their wins recently have just come, you know, in a lot of different ways. You know, last night's game against the Pelicans, they came out, you know, flat in the first half. They fell behind big early. The second half, they ratcheted up the defense, and you know, they were able to walk them down and get the win. Spencer Dinwiddie, the last 2 games without Bill, he's naturally taken over the majority of the scoring burden, but they pretty much handle that by committee. You know, every game they have like 4 to 5 guys in double figures. You know, the ball is moving. You know, guys are getting comfortable. They're getting easy shots and good looks. So that's always a plus. And I'm on the defensive side, which is what, you know, our focus is going to be for them. until further notice. They're the improvement is coming, man. They started the game off. I'm sorry, excuse me. Started the season off with a really strong performance against Toronto, and then it had been some inconsistencies, in the following games, but they're really starting to become a unit on that end. And we have been saying since preseason that was going to be the key to their success. So seeing them perform on that end is refreshing, because the offense is going to be there, but when they get stops, they're a totally different team, and they're tough as hell to beat. Not going to get too deep into them because we do Wizards Outlook, so you guys can check that out. But yeah, man, they're still sitting atop the standings. They're on a 5-game win streak. They don't look to be slowing down anytime soon. And then the most promising thing about all this is not even their final form. They still got guys coming back. We still haven't seen Rui. Eventually Thomas Bryant will be here. And again, Brad's been out the last 2 games. So, it'll be good to kind of see him come back and mesh with this group with the way they're playing now, because, they're really on a roll right now. But moving on to the Go-Go, they are 3-1 on the season. They're going to be back in action on Thursday against the Maine Celtics. They're not going to be back in DC until November 28th. So they'll be on a roll for a while. But recently they acquired Greg Monroe. He's got local ties from playing in Georgetown, and Cassius Winston he's come back from injury, so he has another dynamic to that team. But throughout the season, Jordan Goodwin has been a standout, and he's playing really well. If he keeps this up, he'll definitely see some time in the NBA. At some point this season, he's averaging 22.5 points per game and 8 rebounds. The Wizards, that's going to be a stretch because they're pretty deep, man. It's even going to be tough to find minutes for their 2-way guys. So pretty much everybody on the Go-Go is doing an open audition for the other 29 teams. Because it'll be more likely to get an opportunity elsewhere, as opposed to the Wizards. But they're performing, man. Jaime Ekanike, he's starting to show some potential. He stood out in summer league. He's still a little raw, but he's got a lot to work with. He got good hands, soft touch around the rim. He's averaging 11.3 rebounds per game this season. So he's holding it down in the middle for them. And the Go-Go are actually one of the better rebounding teams in the G League. I talked about Cassius Winston just coming back from injury, still kind of on a minutes restriction. So he's playing about 20 minutes per game. He's averaging 13. And the other 2-way player, Joel Ayayi, he's averaging 14, 7, and 7. So he's been solid, which is good to see. They're 2-way guys. They're just going to be counted on, God forbid, in case they need to be called up due to injury, or just to be given a shot to see what they can do. They look like they're going to do well this season. Of course, as Cassius kind of gets back into the groove of things and he's able to play more, we'll see some things from him. But overall, man, the Go-Go are in a decent place. They're a top 5 rebounding team in the league. They're second in opponent's field goal percentage. What's really holding them back right now is turnovers, man. They average 23 a game, which is really the reason why their games have been close, because with the way they're able to defend, if they took care of the ball a little more, they would be having a little more success. But with Cassius coming back and him starting to integrate himself a little more, I definitely expect to see those turnovers cut down. He was looked at to kind of be the leader of this team and to orchestrate things. So yeah, they've having them playing without him, the offense has been kind of helter skelter. But yeah, man, it's they're underway. There's still a lot of excitement with that franchise. They're, like I said last week, they're basically a new team from top to bottom. So yeah, man, it's a lot of exciting things going on with them, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated.
Most definitely will. Appreciate the update. We're going to take our second break. When we get back, then they talk to Cardell about college basketball, GW men's and women's, and a little bit more. I think he's going to have some standout for you guys from around the country. chip in with some Maryland women's, and we're gonna have some extended time for rapid fire tonight, which brings joy to each and every one of us awaiting Cardell's fun questions. You're watching the Focus TV. We'll be back right after this break. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, Cardell, the floor is yours. College basketball segment begins now.
Yeah, it was rough times down at Foggy Bottom for GW men's and women's. I'm gonna start off with the men's. They currently sit at 1-2 after falling 75-55 at UC San Diego on Saturday. Ricky Lindo Jr. had 13 points and 11 rebounds for the Colonials. Brandon Adams, the grad student out of UConn transfer, he had 12 points. And Joe Bamasil, the Virginia Tech transfer, had 12 points. Francis Nowotny had 19 points off the bench to carry UC San Diego, while Jake Kazakowski had 12 points as well. Jace Rockmore had 11 points, and Tony Rokai also added 11 points and 7 rebounds for UC San Diego. To put it simply, GW couldn't make a shot. They shot 15% from deep. They were out rebounded 42-26 and only had 7 assists total as a team. James Bishop, hate to do it, got to put the spotlight on him, man. GW's junior point guard. He was preseason all A-10 for the season. He has to wake up. He hasn't played well at all in any of their games. He led the A-10 in scoring last season. He's averaging 8.7 points and 1 assist this season on 20% shooting from the field and 15% shooting from deep. It's ugly. Obviously, with him, garnering all-conference, accolade, preseason all-conference accolades before the season began, teams are keying in on him, but teams keyed in on him last year. He still got it done. Now with more help, he's struggling. If he played up to his standard, it would be a whole different ball game. But he hasn't. He has to find He has to get out of the slump, man. Want to highlight Ricky Lindo Jr., man. I don't think people understand how well he's playing. He's averaging a near double-double, 14.3 points, 9.7 rebounds, team high 3.3 blocks and 1.7 steals per game. But he's shooting 60% from three and nearly 50% from the field, adding his 75% from free throws. You got like a potential, if they win enough games, first team all conference player. He's literally doing it all. He's just a Swiss Army knife guy. Talking to NBA personnel, they always liked him, but the thing they were kind of seeing was, would he be tougher, guarding bigger guys, 4s and 5s, and can he shoot threes? And he's clearly showing he has improved in both areas, man. So he's holding up his end. You know what I mean? He's doing what he got to do. They just need Bishop to get going with the talent that they've added. They should be able to put together a lot more wins than what we've seen in the last few years since Christian has came on board. Tonight at 10:30, they play Cal State Fullerton. I'm going to try to stay up and catch State as much as I can, but they're on the West Coast for a little bit, so those times get rough. Ray and Wilson, y'all feel me on the West Coast times. We're going to have to deal with it a little bit when the Wizards go out there with this. Getting a little early taste, but it's real. Moving on to the women's, it was even uglier in Minnesota. The Gophers put on the defensive clinic, man. They held GW to 19% shooting from the field and 9% shooting from deep to take a 48-32 win. GW scored 8 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second quarter, and 5 points in the third quarter. No need to mention the fourth quarter. That's pretty much game. If you're a college program and you can only score 5 points in the quarter, it ain't gonna go well. Ty Moore led GW with 8 points and 8 rebounds, while Deja Winters posted a game high 17 points and 8 rebounds off the bench to lead Minnesota. And just a couple standouts, man. I'm gonna try to add a couple of these standouts because we have so many guys and females. I'm gonna add the ladies too. Don't get it twisted. That are just killing in college right now. Keno Lilly Jr. I gotta highlight him. Brown freshman point guard. He played high school at Landon, played AAU for DC Premier. He's off to a strong start in his collegiate career. He's averaging 14.3 points, 4 assists, and 1.3 steals on 60% shooting from the field, 56% shooting from deep, and he's perfect from the free throw line. Needless to say, young fella's getting it done, especially to be a freshman. He's coming in and getting it and just acting like he's been there all for 4 years. He's playing like a seasoned vet, and he's just getting started. So it's a testament to the work he's put in and the coaching he's received. And also Duke's sophomore point guard, Jeremy Roach. A lot of people kind of, at the last season, a lot of people kind of just felt like he wasn't Duke material. He may end up transferring, maybe even riding the bench throughout his career at Duke. You know how the area is. People love to talk when you struggle, man, but it's crickets right now with him kind of flourishing. He's averaging 11.3 points, 4.3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.7 steals, and only 2 turnovers a game. 50% shooting from the field and 37.5% shooting from deep. All the hype is about Paulo and Trevor Kills. Ironically, Jeremy Roach teammate at Paul VI, both of them with the Paul VI, and played together on Takeover. All the hype is about those guys, and some of them more. The freshmen, you know how they go, the blue chips that they always bring in. But to me, Jeremy Roach is the key. If he plays up to his potential as a floor general, Duke is going to be hard to beat with the talent that they have, man. We all know when Duke is in position to try to make a run, they have a standout point guard, guy that can control the game and do whatever the team needs. Jeremy Roach has the talent. He has the skill set and whatnot. He's finally starting to put it together. And I try to caution people last season, like, you got to understand, man, they're coming off the bubble game, college season, whatnot. He really didn't have a chance, no summer practice, nothing. Not even fall. They just threw him right into the season, quarantine type deal, getting tested. That's tough on a freshman. Your freshman year is already hell enough at the college level. Just trying to figure things out, figure out where you fit with the system, figure out what the coaches want, and figure yourself out, figure your game out. Meanwhile, you got to play games and win, and produce. So with all that other stuff added to it, made it tough on them. But now that it's kind of, we still not quite back to normal. But in the last couple of years, we about as normal as we gonna get for a while. You see him starting to figure it out, man. I'm just happy for him because a lot of people have written him off.
All right, looking forward to that additional update on players around the country each and every week. To end the college segment, I'm going to wrap things up with Maryland women's basketball, and then we'll get the rapid fire. The Terps have been busy since the last time we spoke. They beat Villanova at home last Friday, 88-67. It was a little bit of a slow start. It's similar to what we talk about with the Wizards all the time. You're not worried about them offensively. It's just where their defense is. And when they get fully engaged on that end of the floor. Against Villanova, it kind of happened midway through the second quarter, but they came out of halftime definitely focused on locking down. They blew the game wide open with a 20-0 run in the third. Angel Reese had 23 points in that one, which was a new career high. The game before that, her career high, she had 21 and 14, which were both career highs in points and rebounds. Mimi Collins added 17. And overall, Maryland had 5 players reach double figures. Also want to congratulate Chloe Bibby for reaching her 1,000th career point in that one. They had a road game Sunday against James Madison, which they won 81-43. Defense, again, it's going to be a theme. They forced 21 turnovers en route to the win. Chloe Bibby led the team with 19 points. Ashley Owusu added 14, but she left the game early with an ankle injury. Angel Reese had a career high 14 rebounds in that one. Tonight, they hosted Mount St. Mary's. To check in on the score, there's about a minute left in that one. Maryland's winning 92-57. This one looks like the defense kicked in early. They surrendered just 7 points in the opening quarter and kind of took off from there. In terms of who's leading them, let's see. He's another balanced effort. All 5 starters are in double figures. So it's not a bad thing. They got a big week, though. Later this week, they'll host UNC Wilmington. I believe that's on Thursday. But Sunday afternoon is what a lot of us are looking forward to in the area. They host Baylor. They got like 3 top 10 matchups in their non-conference schedule. The first being the Baylor Bears on Sunday. Can't wait to check that out. We will be back next week to let you guys know how that goes. And as a reminder, with the college basketball games throughout the week, be it GW or Maryland, just head over to thefocustv.com. Cardell's knocking out recaps of games, got recaps of games, knocking out recaps as well, just because, we're working with a limited amount of time each and every Tuesday. So, we'll touch on some things, but those recaps a little bit more in depth. Get over to the Roku channel. And again, thefocustv.com is a great place to check those recaps that usually go up that night or at least the next day on Roku. All right, Cardell, the floor is yours, man. You got rapid fire. Where are we starting this week?
Hey, why not start on the West Coast? On La La Land. Anthony Davis is fed up. Oh, man, he's fed up. Following the Lakers 107-83 loss. To Minnesota, and they actually lost to the Bulls last night. He had choice words. He got ejected in the game. He ain't like that. The ref let the play go on with him tying his shoe, putting his shoe back on. But at the end of the day, he didn't really blame none of that on what happened in the game. He blamed that on the Lakers. They asked him straight up, are they still a championship team? And he pretty much summed it up. He said, we suck. He said, no defense. We can't score. That's not just this third quarter. It's every third quarter we played this season. We come out slow like a days ago, offensively and defensively. We got to get it together. Why? I can't tell you, but we got to do a better job. We got to decide who we want to be. A championship team, that's not us right now. We're not winning the championship the way we're playing. We got to be better, and we got to care more for our wins at home, wins in general. That was embarrassing. I'll start with you, Octavia. Just what are your thoughts on the Lakers, man? The state of the Lakers. Do you believe they will win a championship? I know you have a stake in the game over there. So do you think they're a championship caliber team? And even when LeBron returns, do you think they got enough to possibly pull it off?
I mean, first of all, I just want okay. Yeah, I was saying, first of all, I mean, Melo, you shouldn't have left. But, it is what it is. They look bad at times. But I mean, they have so much talent, but like the one thing that I thought this entire time was like they're all old, like legitimately. Like LeBron got injured in like the first 3 games of the season, and he hasn't played for the last 2 weeks. So if he's hurt, I feel like that's going to trickle down to everybody. Everybody's going to end up hurt at one point. I just feel like it's the senior citizens team over there, and it's going to be real tough for them. But outside of that, like their cohesiveness as a team just is nowhere near there, and then their effort. Like he said, their third quarters are their Achilles heel so far this year. I think he said that the Bulls scored 40 points and they scored 12. So just like you just said, as a college team, if you can only score 5 points in a quarter, as an NBA team, if you can only score 12 points in a quarter, let alone the other team score 40, you're going to have some issues. And I mean, yeah, they got Taylor Horton-Tucker back, or Thornton, or whatever, the THT, they got him back. Maybe that's the sign of the first to come for them, but it's just not looking good. And DeMar DeRozan and the Bulls look really good, and they were not playing with them. They ended the Clippers, I think it's a 7-game winning streak as well, and then to go out there and rout the Lakers was just amazing, honestly. But I'm not really surprised because, like I said, like the Lakers really haven't been playing well lately. They've won some close games just off of the strength of the talent that they have, and the IQ and basketball smarts that they have. But when it comes down to when they get to like these real games, like they're in trouble unless something clicks in their brain quickly.
Ray.
Sounds like a team that's void of leadership.
All those old people and no leaders.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? But yeah, man, I never really believed in them as a championship contender, to be honest. Just based on how the team was constructed, and like you can't just throw a bunch of names together. It has to be guys that fit. And yeah, man, and even when LeBron comes back, their problem is defense. He's not going to help much in that regard. Let's be honest. He's old. He's slowing down, and he really hasn't given much effort on that end in the last few years. So So yeah, this is this seems to be a doomed mission, and the guys that went there this off season, they're going to get the brunt of it, and it sucks for them, but they knew what they were walking into, so they better figure it out, Also, ironically, all the young players that were in LA are playing very well right now. I'm pretty sure they would like to have some of them, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, man, it's going to get worse before it gets better, because people are going to want to hang L's on them, and they're get ready, man. Get ready. It's going to be a long season. Just strap up, man, and get ready, because yeah, like we just saw with the Bulls, like people not playing with them, they seeing all those names, and like NBA players are prideful. They're thinking they just going to assume all these damn near 40-year-olds are going to steamroll past us, and they're already crowning them. Yeah, people going to be at their necks. So yeah, that beard going to get a whole lot grayer at the end of this 82.
Well,
I don't even want to say anything. They traded all their defense in that trade. I really have nothing else. Literally all the things you shipped away, they're in Washington playing defense for one of the best teams in the East. Who knew? Defenders matter. People that fit roles matter. You literally got rid of people that were part of a championship run, because it doesn't matter. I bet you miss a KCP. Bet you miss a Kuz. I know you didn't play Trez really, but right now, I mean, I'm sure you would love some energy off the bench instead of the guys that you went and got. And I was laughing when you got the people, and some people call me a hater or whatnot, and no disrespect to the shooters that you guys went to go get, but you literally won a championship because you just played defense. Your offense was trash when you won a championship, but you were really good defensively. You had a bunch of bigs. They took up space, protected the rim, suffocated offenses, and you were like, don't need that stuff. We'll get more old people who never defended, period, because that made sense. But to each their own. Hopefully Trevor Ariza can fix it all, because that's what some of y'all truly believe. And that's not a knock on Trevor Ariza. That's just the one dude I know that's willing to actually, try on that end on purpose and not look bad while doing so. But yeah, it is what it is.
And he old too.
yeah, and that's why AD frustrated. He the only one that could do everything, defend, and score, and all that. And don't forget, 2 former Lakers murdered them last night, Zoe and Caruso, and they lowball Caruso because he wanted to stay. So, man, the GM over there is trash, man. I don't know. The GM looking kind of suspect over there, but we I'm just gonna put some facts out there about the Lakers. I hear people getting on Russ, and rightfully so. The boy's throwing some crazy turnovers like you always do. He's averaging 5.3 turnovers a game. But the thing that they're glancing over is LeBron is averaging 4.2. Yeah, 4.2 is pretty high too, but they don't get on him like that. So it ain't just Russ. You know what I'm saying? Those are the contributing. And on top of that, as a team, they're actually 29th in the NBA in turnovers. They average 17.3. So they're next to last of being the worst team in the league in that area. Oh, and then they're 27th in the league. They give up 112.5 points a game. So your defense trash, and you're giving the ball to the other opponent. All right, still tough to win. They just got a bunch of names, man, and past their prime to say stating the obvious, man. And they thinking just. I think that it was just arrogance. They still think LeBron is in like Miami, still in his prime. And he's not. That's a hell of a load to carry. And also, when they made those trades, I don't think they anticipated that the league would make the rule that guys can, like the ref will have to swallow the whistle on certain moves and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think that played a part in it now. So you see in a lot of offenses, you've seen a lot of offensive players that benefited from those rules. They're struggling. And think about it, like I keep saying, they're old, they're seasoned vets. That means they're crafty. They know how to bait and get calls and whatnot. They're not getting away with that no more. Then on top of that, I keep saying it's a shift in the league. It happens every so often. The young boys are learning how to play winning basketball. So they're not in awe of the Lakers or any of them. Matter of fact, they're probably tired of them. And then they're growing up now. So they puffing their chests out. They just like, you know what? No, we can do this. No, we're not tripping off y'all no more. And honestly, I think Giannis and what the Bucks did, that put the nail in the coffin because now everybody knows it's possible again. You don't have to gang up and do all that. So it's just a combination of things. But it comes back to the same things we saw with the Wizards over the last couple of years, especially last year. If you turn the ball on, you don't defend, you're not going to win. It's as simple as that. So I don't know why they think they're exempt from that, but hey, man, it's just how it goes. Oh, man. So you want to go we got one more time for one more question. This is an interesting one. We're going to go to UConn women's. Gino, losing his touch. Freshman, Sayla Poffenbarger, local prospect. Nearly transferred from the program after the first game. She played in 12 games last season. She graduated high school early, came on board half a season, played 12 games last season. She only scored 6 points and 4 rebounds. And this year, obviously, with one game, she didn't get in the game. She didn't play in UConn season opener. She said, after talking to my family, I decided it's in my best interest to enter my name in the transfer portal. I'm grateful for my teammates, coaches, support staff, the fans for welcoming me to stores, and I wish them the best. Just what are your thoughts on that? And just to kind of put things in perspective, AZ Fudd, no one player in the country, she's not even starting. But we're going to start with you on this one, Greg.
Yeah, that was shocking to see. Of course, I don't know all the ins and outs of the situation, but like, where do you think you're gonna go that's gonna better prepare you to, advance in your career? But again, man, if she don't feel like that's the right situation for her, then more power to her. Of course, do what you feel is in your best interest, but there's that's not just any program. There's people in front of you, and now I think kids are kind of losing sight of that. Paying dues seems to be a thing of the past, but yeah, man, whatever reason it is, I hope it works out. But yeah, man, I couldn't imagine, not seeing how kind of sticking it out would be beneficial. But again, man, I don't know what's going on with the kid. So yeah, I really don't have much to say. It's just, I mean, you're a freshman that left high school early, so really you should have just been arriving this year. So you kind of got a bit of a head start, and like you brought up, AZ is not starting, and she's the most hyped, one of the most hyped basketball players coming out of high school that I can remember in a very long time. So that should just kind of tell you what what the situation is up there in at UConn. But what have you, to each their own, and just hope everything works out for her.
Mr. UConn, what you think?
Oh, man, be like that sometimes. Wish her the best. Got nothing. Like, it's one of the things where, like, the transfer portal thing, like, I know it's big now, but like a couple years ago, covering Maryland, we seen this up close, when it kind of got to getting started where, like and this is one player, but like some bigger programs over the past, 5-6 years, we've seen them go through like mass transfers, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And one of the things that I've just come to accept that, like, generations are different. And like Ray said, some people think you're going to hit the ground running, and some of these schools, they're not for that. And maybe people around you might convince you that, to change, it's not going to change, and you're going to have to earn it. And if you have an issue with that, it is what it is. I'm all for people leaving because maybe it really just isn't a good fit for her. But she won't be the first or last player to transfer from a big school. So, I wish her the best.
I'll tell you.
I mean, I feel like you both kind of summed it up. Gino's probably like, okay, see you later. He's like, I got people dying to get here, bro. Like, all right, I guess. But yeah, in all fairness, like, whatever her personal reason is, I'm sure she has her own. Again, like you both said, like, I feel like it's part of this generation, if you want to call it, like, they want a microwave generation, like they want it right then and there. They want it now. They don't know what it is to sit back and wait your turn and to prove yourself. Again, don't know if that's really what her issue was. That's just how it looks from the outside looking in. And maybe she thinks she's better than that. Maybe she thinks she can go somewhere and prove him wrong and be a better player than he ever thought she could be. So, that's on her, and more power to her and good luck to her. But I mean, his pedigree speaks for itself. You've seen the type of players that's gone through there, and you've seen the type of players he's developed, to not want to sit there and to at least soak some of that energy up and actually listen to what he's saying is a little bit of a head scratcher, but again, to each his own.
Well, I cover Sailor in high school, and her mother was a coach. Her mother's a character. I'm gonna leave it at that.
See, you should have led with that.
Her mother's a character, man. She's one of them. Like, I think it's a combination of things. This is her first time where she probably faced adversity. Like, yeah, you're not the best no more, so you have to work. And what I think this generation don't understand is that's the challenge. If you a dog, you accept that challenge and just like you won't play me one way or another. I'm gonna make it impossible for you not to play me. But it's like as soon as a little adversity comes, they just roll. And that's why I just can't stand, because especially the WNBA, if you eyeing that, and I know she is because she was a top prospect, if you're eyeing that, it's no way in hell you built for it if you're running from challenges. Because that league is all about challenges. Like, they don't play up there, man. Like you just disappeared. Like, and Wilson, I know what you was kind of hinting at. Destiny Slocum came in Maryland on fire. Oh my God! Like, she almost beat UConn herself. Like, put on a show. It was like, oh my, she's a generational point guard. Blah blah blah. She transferred. You barely heard from her again. Now, you know what I'm saying? Now, I think she ended up on Vegas. She ain't really played her rookie year, but still, I think she'd have stayed in Maryland. She'd have been drafted higher, more heralded, and I think she'd have been more league ready than her bouncing around at a couple schools, Oregon State and some other school or whatnot. It don't. And meanwhile, Brenda just brought Ashley on board, and Ashley will be a top pick whenever she leaves. You feel what I'm saying? It's better to just grind that out. It ain't like you not playing at, with no disrespect, University of Maryland Eastern Shore or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you at UConn. That's women-wise, women college basketball on the women's side, that's like Alabama football. That's a breeding ground for the WNBA. You're gonna have a shot at that. So why not endure and get better? Like, AZ's not even starting. I mean, you feel what I'm saying? And from what I know, she's accepted. She got in. But right now it's Paige world. You know what I'm saying? Because she earned that. So why not just grind and earn that? Now, Sailor's talented. And when she went to UConn, I kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit because I'm just like, she's 6'2", she kind of frail, but she's more of a tall guard. I know Gina gonna kind of have her on the wing, but those wings up there, it gets physical, it gets real. I'm not sure if she's built for that. Busting up high school girls, especially where they were at Middletown. I don't know if the competition was as stout out that way as it is here in DC area. You feel what I'm saying? And then with her mom coaching her and stuff like that, everything obviously went through her and her way. So I'm not shocked that she bounced after the first game of the season. I'm like wow. But I'm like, man, give it a few games at least, though. Like, I'm not shocked about it, but because I know the way her mother carried, she gave off a vibe at the state championship that she think her daughter's like the second coming to Deladon. And nah, That's and and that reality is starting to hit. So, like I said, I'm not wishing her failure. Of course, I want her to maximize what she can be or whatnot. But sometimes you just got a woman, just like we say, man up. Sometimes you got a woman up, and I want to duck that wreck. I'm like, it's cool. I'm gonna get on there sooner or later, and it's gonna be hell in practice for you. So y'all not getting a break after the game. I'm gonna have to see you. So. I don't know, man. It's just weird, but it's honestly, it was funny when I saw the headline because then I'm not shocked. I could actually see everyone like, you're better than her and all that. And Paige, why is she shooting? Come on. I can see that. I can see that happening. So it is what it is. On you, Wilson.
Yeah. You seem like Hall of Fame players not like the dude until they graduated. There's every reason for you to endure, like Cardell mentioned. Like great players couldn't stand the dude until they left school and realized why. And appreciated it later. But you just couldn't take it right now. And that's why my attitude's so nonchalant. It is what it is. Again, if Sue, Diana, Maya, Tina, Swin, Tip, all these players can take that for multiple years, but it's too much for you. I wish you the best.
No, but I will say this. Deladon transferred from UConn. A lot of people don't realize Deladon was there with Maya Moore and them. They was gonna get ignorant. It was gonna get real ignorant.
Maya and Tina.
But she had personal problems. But I know through some people that were working with her, there was a lot of jealousy when she came in. One, she was that good, and she was gonna bump a lot. That was like that one last. Stewie was, but the second to last, legendary run with the whole damn team is in the WNBA. That was the team with Maya and all that. So she came in and she was literally that good. So a lot of jealousy turned her off, then off the personal problem. So back to Deladon, because she didn't understand, she was just hooping. So she went back home, regrouped, and obviously we know what she did at Delaware, and then it bounced back. That's a different situation. Because that happens too.
Totally different.
But ain't nobody jealous of you if you ain't bumping like that. You ain't hooping. Like, what's there to be jealous about? You ain't you feel me? So, hey man, it is what it is, man. But outside of this, have y'all had any transfers up there before since Deladon?
None of Deladon was the only one that was really good transferred. I'm not trying to be mean. That's the only one that was worth talking about. And I'm not trying to be rude. It's the only one. This comes from the most objective, as kind as I can be. Again, when I saw it, I kept scrolling on Twitter and didn't care.
And you at UConn, y'all can get money. Y'all can get money now as an athlete. I know Paige just signed for $1 million deal. I said
you could have been making better on the bench. You could have stayed there and made bread while trying to crack the rotation. There's nothing in that state but that school and basketball. But again, you do you. I wish you the best. Whatever works for you. The other thing is
bad business.
And again, not to be mean, even if you stay there, there's a chance you could at least carve out a gig. You would have carved out or at least prepared yourself to be a role player in the WNBA because it's real once you get up there. It's real, but you need to learn how to. After that group with Stewie, Fees was a little bit different, but outside of that, everybody else has found their role. Kia Nurse, right. Gabby Williams, things like that. They're found their role. And I don't know if you're a gifted athlete, if you're on their level, and they're, again, not to be mean, they're role players in the W. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not, they sat through it. I don't get it, but it couldn't be me. I wish you the best. Like I said, I wasn't tuning in for her to begin with, so it is what it is. Good. This is me. Trying to tune in to see the young big that I'm a fan of. AZ, obviously. Paige, see her take a next leap. Leah Edwards, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, but that's what I'm here for. So, if anybody else that stood out, I wish you the best. Griffin's daughter, obviously as well, fan of hers, but you were gonna have to earn your spot. I just don't understand what's so difficult about this. And this is the other thing. Is another. We talked about this so many times. This is first period. everybody transferring. Y'all do understand it. Like, unless you're like at the top, which again, there's no reason for you to transfer because you're getting what you want in terms of playing time. What do you think is going to happen when you go? You're starting from zero. But hey, we're going to see you guys next week. I know we're going to have a lot more to talk about. Don't forget to get over to thefocustv.com, and each and every Friday, DCTV at 10 p.m. Go to dctv.org to go ahead and find out when the show re-airs throughout the weekend. Then our Roku channel, all you got to do is on your Roku television or device, just write in a search bar, type in the Focus TV, and you find a channel, hit add channel, and there we are. So we'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys as always for tuning in. Y'all have a good one.